Auntie Kamala, please start.
Om. 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 Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya vidmahe Satyadevaya dhimahi Tanna sarva prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, continuing with chapter number 15, Ocean of Mercy. Despite all that has been stated earlier about past deeds engendering either retribution or reward in the present life, it is a fact that if Bhagwan wills to shower mercy and compassion, his kindness knows no limits. It is so spontaneous that it is pointless to search for its cause. In this context, it is relevant to refer to what Swami recounted on 4th July 1996. It was a heartwarming tale and moved every single person in the gathering. The boy who spoke here first, said Swami, hails from Simla in Himachal Pradesh. His younger brother also is studying in the primary school here. About 10 years ago, when I was in Vrindavan, their mother was brought to me on a stretcher all the way from Himachal Pradesh. I put my arms around the boys and drew them close. I told their mother, "These are my children. From now on, you need not worry about them at all." She too gave her word to Swami. "Sai Mata, I'm entrusting my sons to you." And she breathed her last. I brought the boys here and enrolled them in the primary school. From that day right up to this day, they never shed a tear. Their mother passed away. Their father comes but rarely. Everybody left them to Swami's care. After all, Swami himself is looking after them. That is exactly what Sharanagati means, total surrender. I see these boys morning and evening every day and inquire about their welfare. They never experience, even for a moment, the misery of losing their mother. One day, the lady warden of the hostel brought the younger boy to me, saying that he was grieving for his mother, weeping for her and refusing to eat. He was then 5 years old and was in the first standard. I took him to the interview room, put a ring on his finger, did this and that to amuse him until he forgot his grief and became cheerful. Ever since, he is always seen smiling and laughing. Children's hearts are pure and clear like crystal. This shows how much courage and strength love can bestow on the loved ones. Could these boys have been so content and cheerful anywhere else? They are so full of happiness and joy because they are with Swami. Swami's love is not one mother's love, but is the love of 1,000 mothers. I personally look after every single detail. Unable to understand this, you worry. Swami has not looked at me or talked to me. Despite innumerable responsibilities that I shoulder, I find time to look after and inquire about every single child. The boy who has spoken a little earlier said, as you have all heard, I lost only a single mother, but I have gained the motherly love of 1,000 mothers. That is why when commencing his talk, he addressed Swami, my mother Sai. It is such ardent faith that protects them and blesses them with complete success in their lives. Namasmaran and Rupadhyan. For 8 long years, a foreign devotee at Prashanti Nilayam had been confined to a wheelchair, for he had lost the use of his legs. Nevertheless, a pleasant smile was always lighting up the brave man's face. Prior to his affliction, he used to exercise and actively participate in sports and games. But fate forced him into this dependence on the wheelchair. Once several visitors from his native land were sitting together in the audience hall. Swami invited all of them into the interview room. Since this handicapped person was tied down to his wheelchair and was also at a different place, he could not move in along with the group who had rushed into the interview room. He too was from the same country. Should not Swami have called him as well? He was wondering and eagerly looking towards Swami. Meanwhile, Swami already passed him by and went ahead a little further. But suddenly he turned back and called out to him, "Oh, you also go inside." He was thrilled and began propelling his chair towards the room. The over-compassionate Bhagwan ordered him, "Not like that. Get up and go walking." The poor man was shocked. He stopped nevertheless and tried painfully to get out of his chair. Laboriously, he freed himself, stumbled a little, but soon pulled himself together. He broke down, unable to control his spasms of weeping. He threw himself at the lotus feet of Swami. 8 years of tapas and suffering was thus crowned with glorious fulfillment. Release from retribution. Swami said on one occasion, "You may be thinking that one will have to suffer in this birth for the evil deeds done in past lives, and that no amount of God's compassion can exempt you from it. But I am giving you my word that you need not have to undergo the consequences of previous karma." Hence, he is worshipped Sarva Papa Chayakaraya Namaha. True enough, look at all those who are suffering from disease and have gathered in Puttaparthi, sitting and waiting for Baba. They have totally surrendered themselves at Swami's lotus feet. Having left all their cares in the hands of Swami, they do not seem to be suffering at all. If they were somewhere else, the intensity of their illness would have made them miserable. They would have been experiencing the agony of hell. Here, as they wait looking forward to the supreme happiness of having Swami's darshan, they suffer not. They are lost in anticipation. And during darshan, they are transported to heavenly bliss. They forget themselves, lost to their pains and aches. After darshan is over, they relive in their wonderful experience. Rumination adds to that pleasure and prolongs it. They meditate on the form of Swami, conversing with others, sharing of experiences, and recollecting the sweetness of Swami's words, deeds, and leelas. Their time literally flies. Then they begin looking forward to the next day's darshan with hope, anticipation, expectation, and imagination. Devotees never know passage of hours in Prashanti Nilayam. When do they find time to experience retribution? They are shielded and insulated from suffering and sorrow, just as a patient under anesthesia is protected from pain. The period of suffering retribution passes off smoothly with hearing Shravan, remembering Smaran, contemplating Manan, meditating Chintan, viewing Darshan, and touching Sparshan. In other words, in filling one's body and soul with Swami, his divinity and glory. Entry into Prashanti Nilayam, both physically and metaphorically, is nothing but pariharam, that is, remedy for and relief from sorrow of every kind. Om Shri Satyasai Parabrahmane Namah. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Sairam, significance of Namasmaran. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Aiva Kevalam, Kalo Nastaiva, 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 Gatir Anyata. Chanting of the Lord's name is the only way to liberation in the Kali age. God's name only will redeem us, and any mighty task can be achieved by chanting the divine name, Baba. Namasmaran means remembering or chanting repeatedly God's name. It is one of the spiritual practices enjoyed on an aspirant endeavoring to reach God. The importance Swami attaches to it is illustrated by an incident. A devotee asked, "Swami, we often hear about total surrender, Sharanagati. How is it to accomplish it?" Swami answered softly, "Bangaru, Sharangati is beyond you. Why do you bother about it? Resort to Namasmaran. God himself will be at your beck and call." Sharanagati, sorry. Swami once explained the special significance of Namasmaran. It is the most sublime of all the spiritual practices. It consists of japam, chanting of God's name repeatedly. It is the most infallible penance, tapas. Kuchela could not could attain Lord Krishna's grace only through Namasmaran. When you do Namasmaran, intone the name with fervor, deep devotion and love. It bestows on you immense benefit in this Kali Yuga. Namasmaran is enough to earn salvation and release from the otherwise unbroken cycle of birth and death. Namasmaran is the one and only divine medicine capable of curing you of lack of mental equanimity, avarice, and other ills which torment you. It gives you abiding peace and contentment. The name you choose can be any one of the thousands of names of God, or it can be any one of the names now in common use in any religion, country, or region of the world, or in any section of devotees. Select any name and devote at least 5 minutes every day for Namasmaran. Make it a part of your daily routine. It will give you immense benefit. Tulsamma. A long time ago, a devotee called Tulsamma was residing in Prashanti Nilayam. While she was once going to a native place by auto rickshaw, the vehicle dashed against a waist-high tree and overturned at a deserted place. She was seriously wounded in the wrist. While falling down from the auto rickshaw, she loudly cried, Sai Ram. Within moments of the accident, a car arrived at that lonely spot. The driver picked up both Tulsamma and the auto driver and took them to his house. The lady was aware that the wound was serious enough. But as she came to know later, she had been rescued from a more terrible fate. During interrogation, the auto driver revealed some startling details. When he noticed expensive gold ornaments on her body, he was tempted to rob them. That was why he drove it to that isolated spot and intentionally crashed into the tree. He expected Tulsamma to become unconscious and he would be able to get away with her ornaments. But at that moment of impact, she suddenly cried out, Sai Ram. That Namasmaran had the effect of changing his mind. He was surprised that just at the moment of a terrible ordeal, she could utter God's name so fervently. He felt that she must be very noble and pious and that he should not rob such a lady. Moreover, although normally the spot was most of the time unfrequented, surprisingly on that specific day, somebody came in a car at the crucial moment and ruined his plan. The auto driver was disturbed at this coincidence. Was it divine intercession? The poor fellow shuddered at the very thought. The driver confessed all this to Tulsamma, narrated every detail of the incident, and expressed sincere remorse. He did not stop there. From that time onwards, he became friendly and very close to her. He would visit her often and inquire about her welfare. He became, as it were, an intimate friend, in fact, a well-meaning relative. This episode highlights the power of Namasmaran. Namasmaran means summoning God. Peddabottu, the great devotee of Bhagwan Satyasai Baba, of whom we have read earlier, often asked him, Swami, what is meditation, dhyan, and how to do it? Swami used to put her off. He would merely say, don't bother about dhyan. You're doing Namasmaran. That is good enough. One night she was sleeping under a tree opposite Swami's residence. As it began to drizzle, she removed herself from there and prepared to sleep in the veranda outside Swami's room. As she was making a bed, she said to herself as a matter of habit, Om Sri Sai Ram. Swami came out and pulled her up. You stupid, won't you allow me to sleep? Peddabottu said, Swami, Peddabottu said, Swami, who stopped you from sleeping? Swami retorted, when you are summoning me, how can I go to bed and sleep? The poor lady explained, I am in the habit of doing Namasmaran after Om Sri Sai Ram within myself. I did not intend to call you. Bhagwan told her, what does the japam mean? It amounts to calling me. Namasmaran is no different from summoning the God.
Sai Ram. Namasmaran means telephoning God. Murthy, Sri Kasturi's son, was doing research in geology. In that connection, he had to tour forest areas in Assam. On one occasion, when he was alone, a wild bear noticed him and began closing in on him. Murthy fled for his life, but the animal continued to chase him. And as he ran over some rocks in his desperate flight to safety, he tripped and fell down, but continued to cry loudly, Baba, Baba. Within moments, a motor truck appeared there from nowhere, and Murthy found safety by getting into it. After a few months, he happened to be in Prashanti Nilayam. Swami told him, I received your phone call and dispatched a truck. Did it reach you in time? Maya, the terrible dog. Bhagavan Sri Sai Baba once described the power of Maya as a metaphorical way. He said, God is the master of Maya, delusion, illusion, ignorance. Maya is like a terrible dog standing guard at the entrance of the God's home and does not allow outsiders to come near him. If you are earnest about reaching God, there are only two ways. The first course is to put on the form of the master, then the dog does not harm you at all. This is known as sarupya, that is, assuming God's form. But you should not make the slightest mistake, otherwise the dog will not spare you. The second course is to cry out for the master in a loud voice. He will hear your cry. He comes to you, receives you with open arms and holds your hands, leads you inside with overflowing kindness. This is called samipya. That is, being in closest company with God. The dog will not do any harm to you as you are with his master. Being God's pet dog, Maya obeys him. If he wills it not to give you trouble, you will not be touched. You will know no fear. What a simple and beautiful parable Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba has given us. He has revealed how he, of his own volition, surrenders to his devotees. How easy is the second course. The devotee has only to call God most earnestly with all his heart, with agony in his voice, with yearning suffusing his whole being. This is Namasmaran. Millions of Sai devotees have found through personal experience that God responds to Namasmaran and presents himself before his devotees with boundless mercy and compassion. Baba's exhortation is that incessant Namasmaran of a deity so elevates the devotee that he attains a form of that deity. Bhagavan says that incessant smaran of Lord Sri Rama's name by his brother Bharata resulted in Ramayana, in the latter looking like Sri Rama to all. A similar thing happened with Uddhava in Sri Mahabhagavat, who did uninterrupted smaran of Lord Sri Krishna's name. Earnest prayer. When you do Namasmaran, fill it with great longing, anguish, and love for God. God always looks mainly for the intensity in his devotees' prayer, said Baba, and illustrated the statement with the following charming story. Adi Shankara was then a little child. Their family deity was goddess Raja Rajeshwari. Shankara's father used to worship the Devi every day. One day, he had to go out to some place on business. Therefore, he entrusted the task of Devi worship to the little boy. The child performed worship as usual and ritually offered milk to the deity. He waited and waited in expectation. He had always believed that Devi was actually drinking the milk offered by his father every day. So he waited for Devi to take milk, but it did not happen. In great anguish and with tears flowing down his cheeks, the little boy earnestly pleaded, "What is the matter, my mother? Won't you accept my milk offering? You accept milk offering by me? Won't you bless me with your grace?" The motherly heart of the Supreme Mother melted in compassion and pity on seeing the agony in the tender child's heart, and she gulped down the whole of the milk that the little devotee offered. Shankara knows that the milk which his father daily offered to Devi was treated as holy, and after puja, his father would give a little of that tirtham, liquid prasadam, to every member of the family. But on this day, not a drop remained for that distribution. The god has taken all in a single gulp. He feared that other members of the family would suspect him of having swallowed the entire quantity of milk. Overcome by shame and desperation, Shankara wept. Moved by his distress again, the merciful Devi filled the container full of milk. She did not pour milk from her hand. The milk that she gave came directly from the Divine Mother's breast. Shankara's agonized prayer was thus amply fulfilled by the mother. An exactly similar incident happened very recently, which Swami narrated as follows. A person who is now here among you suddenly cried out, "Swami," in an excited and loud voice. I sensed the distress, faith, and yearning in that cry. What happened was that the sari of his wife had caught fire. Flames raged. Stunned by terror, she could not remember me. The husband was helpless and desperate and cried for me. Their place is 200 miles away from here. The moment I heard the call, I was there and put out the flames before much harm could be done. What drew me there was the deep anguish in that cry. I am ever waiting for you. One day during Swami's public audience, a devotee was continuously calling him in great anguish, Swami, Swami. Swami noticed him and invited him into the interview room. He was longing for Swami's love, for Swami's divine proximity, and for an opportunity of conversing with Swami. Swami entered the room, closed the door, and was bolting it. The devotee could not hold himself any longer. He blurted out, Swami, I have been waiting for you for the last 3 weeks. For 3 long weeks, Swami. Swami turned around and said affectionately, Bangaru, do you know for how many years I have been waiting for you? The man was thunderstruck. Bhagavan actually waiting for him? He was overwhelmed at the thought. Unable to bear the impact of the flood of Baba's love, he started weeping. Yes, it is a fact that Swami is waiting every moment for each one of us, wondering, when will he come? When? He says, whenever you come to me, Bangaru, you will find me awaiting your arrival. But the devotees excuse themselves. Swami, I cannot come just now. I am deeply entangled in many things. I find myself enslaved. I am unable to come at present, Swami. Bhagavan is indulgent. He reassures his devotees, don't worry at all, Bangaru. It does not matter when you will be able to come to me. Take your own time. But so far as I'm concerned, I will always be awaiting you. That arrival may take several lifetimes or births even. Several devotees plead for a personal interview with Swami. Swami, Swami, interview please, they cry out. He answers, wait, wait. It does not mean merely that they should await their turn. It also means that they are too weighty or too heavy. They have to long for many more days or even many more years in some cases. They have to suffer the agony of not being called to his presence. After they undergo some tapas, after some penance, Swami invites them for interview. That is to say, the seeker should first lose weight through austerity, self-mortification, incessant namasmaran, and meditation on Swami. He has to unburden himself of the load of evils like attachment and hatred, raga, dvesha, which are weighting him down. When the devotee prepares himself in this manner, when the burden of the weight is shed and he becomes light, Swami would certainly invite him to come close to him. Swami himself explained this in a different manner. He said, the more you come close to me, the more you earn my love. You become more likely to burn. What will be burnt are our evils, defects, and impurities. Such a burning leads to spiritual purification, to refinement. As the process of burning is accompanied by Swami's love, which acts as a shield, the aspirant is able to withstand the fiery ordeal. Sairam. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Samasta loka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Sairam, just one quick announcement. So on Friday, we were going to have our final reading in person at Vancouver Science Center, but we've decided to move that online. So we'll be having we will be reading the final chapter and having some other events on that day planned, and it will be from 7:30 to 9 p.m. and it'll be through Zoom that night. So we hope all of you can join us for that. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam.